We should do an entire video from the camera behind us facing here. And then a split screen of close-up on that. It's a very confusing experience.
Like a weird 24 art installation.
Hello, Reject Nation. And only Patreon, because this is a Patreon exclusive.
Hello,
Patronajects.
Patronajects.
It's time for the Q&A of the month of August, people.
August.
Augustus. Yeah, fucking August month. All right, so here we go. Only got a few questions this time. We don't have a shit ton. So that's helpful for us, actually.
People don't want to know what we think.
Not anymore. They've asked all the questions.
We got the information we needed.
House Heisenberg. Question numero uno. If you could resurrect one film director to make one more movie before returning to the dead, who would you pick and why? While I'm not really a fan of classic Hollywood movies, I think it would be very interesting to see what a modern-day Alfred Hitchcock movie would look like. Jason Dolan then commented, Kubrick. You're wrong about Hitchcock. Kubrick. Who would one film director to resurrect before returning to the dead? What a fascinating plot. It's like the plot of that Nicolas Cage movie.
See, now I'm imagining if this really happened and, like, you know, I'm imagining the director waking up and being like, what am I doing here? And why do I have to make a movie? I'm not dead anymore.
I might go with your Hitchcock answer. For the first time, I watched The Man Who Knew Too Much a couple of days ago with my girlfriend, and I found it to be a genuinely easy experience to sit through. I'll admit, sometimes I watch those classic black and white films, and I'm like, pay attention, Craig. The quality of filmmaking has greatly improved. Because a lot of times those black and white pictures rely mainly on actor and script, and not so much on direction.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it, it really did dawn on me in that moment, especially knowing how old that movie is. Wow, people really are inspired by Alfred Hitchcock, man.
Yeah.
This guy really did invent style with the camera.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be fascinating to see that, because he never loses sight of story, and I don't think you ever hear about Alfred Hitchcock was really style over substance. I don't think back then you could do that. Yeah. I feel like now we got so many toys at our disposal that it's easy to get caught up in style over substance. And he invented a lot of the voyeurism, the tracking shots, the panning, the POV. I was like, oh, man, Hitchcock invented a lot, and I still see why a lot of directors say they're inspired by Hitchcock. And I would think it would be really interesting to see if he could, like, do a James Cameron where he tops himself. I mean, I'm not talking about quality of film. I'm talking about how, like, James Cameron disappeared for 10 years and then, like, no one could top Titanic at the box office, and then he does it. Or will he do, like, Peter Jackson or Ridley Scott thing where, like, oh, he has too much at his disposal now. I feel like Hitchcock would probably be able to make... I feel like he'd be able to do it. Kubrick's a good answer, too. Those are the most obvious answers. I would go with Hitchcock, though.
Yeah, Hitchcock and Kubrick are both good answers. I mean...
Sorry. Lauren... the guy that Lauren's assistant, dude, he helped me out with my audio thing. And now it's like I can never lower the volume unless it's plugged into a speaker.
That's a drag.
Yeah, but the guy's really good looking. So what's your answer, John?
I've been trying to... you know what I've been trying to do this whole time is I've been trying to think of a director whose career got cut short when they passed, you know? Because, and I'm not doing a very good job of thinking of that. Because, I mean, besides... Hitchcock and Kubrick were like the two of the answers I probably would have gone with.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anybody else off the top of my head.
Terry Gilliam.
Maybe like he's not dead.
Yeah, he is.
His
career.
I was gonna make a Mel Gibson joke like that, where it's just like, if you could have Mel Gibson make one film free of the stigma that's got his career in a weird bind.
A Jewish superhero.
No, maybe
Who saves women from battery.
I maybe might go back to one of the old masters or something like Griffith or Méliès or something like that. Like one of those dudes from like really early on who made very, sweeping or very imaginative movies and see what they might be able to create with the stuff now. Because I think about like. What is it? Why am I forgetting what it's called? Journey to the Moon or whatever that is. I think about like how imaginative that is. Or maybe the guy who made Haxan. I might resurrect the guy who made Haxan because that's if you want to watch like a crazy kind of historical horror movie. There's this movie they made in like the 1920s called Haxan. It's all about witches and devils, and like it is really out there even for the time. And like I would love to see what a dude like that would make now. So like all my choices for this would be just like obscure.
I'm so surprised John did not go with Ed Wood.
Well, because I also gotta think, because my very first thought was George Romero, but then I was like, well, like his latest movies haven't been tremendous, and so now I'm thinking like, like Survival of the Dead was not a huge phenomenon, and so I start to think, well, who would still come back and I wouldn't have to worry about that part of it, because I feel like you do have to factor in. That's why you choose a Kubrick or a Hitchcock, where you're like, they're great. And like Kubrick, I think is a nice answer for this, because that's a guy who I feel like you could argue his career kind of got cut short, or like a Tony Scott, if you really love Tony Scott, like those are the types of directors I would want to use this answer for. But yeah, I feel like I might go back to one of those old masters and see. Get like a really good topical movie from Griffith or something like that. That would be cool.
I hope you got an answer out of something there.
Yeah. Sorry.
Jason Dolan, what is your favorite movie about the television industry? My personal favorite is the David Duchovny, Sigourney Weaver comedy, The TV Set, directed by Jake Kasdan.
Yeah, I love that movie. That would probably be my answer.
A movie about the television industry?
Yeah,
they do that.
That very wide genre. The TV set is a really funny movie. Like, and it's pretty biting too. I like that movie a lot. You would probably like.
I mean, I don't know if this would count under it. I really did like. If that garage wasn't so loud, that phone would distract me so much right now. I guess I would go with damn, what the hell is that movie called? The super popular one. He won an Oscar for it. They're not gonna Network. That's about TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the answer you're looking for. Like State of whatever that movie was.
State.
Is that about TV?
Which one?
The Alec Baldwin one.
State in Maine.
Yeah. Is that TV or movies?
I feel like that's a movie. I've seen that movie, and I think they're making a film.
Network I really did enjoy a lot.
Yeah, Network's great.
Because, I mean, that's more about, like, journalism than it is television. But it deals with journalism and news, and back then, journalism was way more important. And journalism was something very meaningful in that era. Not like how it is today, with all the fake news going on. Trump media apparently reporting on news. But in terms of, I can't really think of any. The only reason I'm saying this is I can't think of anything that really focuses on TV.
Yeah, you can't say 30 Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I know more TV shows that are about TV than I know movies that are about TV. You know what? These are very top of the head answers. We don't like to prepare for the Q&A.
Yeah, we like to keep it off the cuffness. Although now I'm feeling like
now
maybe
it's we're gonna look up movies about television, as I feel like the Truman Show is a good one.
Oh, I gotta see videos.
Anchor. Oh, why did I not go with Anchorman?
Yeah, why do I separate out the news in my mind?
Yeah, I went with. I kept thinking of like
The Ring is not a movie about a TV show.
I kept thinking of like a For Your Consideration type of movie, I guess my mind got a little bogged down.
No,
The Running Man would count. The Running Man's a good one.
Poltergeist isn't about TV.
Wayne's World.
Oh, Weird Al, UHF.
Oh, Showtime. De Niro and Murphy.
Oh, that's right. I remember Showtime.
Well, I guess with these movies that are Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, that's a great one.
Bruce Almighty.
I mean, for the list that I see here, if I made this like a Good Night,
Good Night, Good Luck is a
yeah,
great movie,
yeah,
yeah.
that's another
Oh,
one.
quiz show. All right, just because
go
you took the TV set, I'll go with quiz show. I grew up with that movie actually.
I might go with Anchorman.
I do love Anchorman.
Well, The Running Man's fascinating because that deals with like reality TV in a very extreme way, and plus it's just a super fun, entertaining film.
Okay.
And that was when Arnold was in his like way too buff era.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't believe you were ever.
Because by the time he got to Predator, he was like more slimmed down. He was still like really buff, but in then Running Man, he was like way too buff. But it's tough between Anchorman and Running Man for me.
Okay. Two mans.
As I feel like Running Man really does have like one of those weird, because what you really get from it is just an entertaining, fun sci-fi movie. But it does have the messages about like what we are as a society are headed down in the direction for reality TV. And then Anchorman, that has the exploration of like of journalism and how important it was then.
Yeah.
When he goes like, what does he say? Go fuck yourself, San Diego. And like the world turns on him. I'm like, back then, I feel like with what journalism was in the 70s, that would have upset an entire city.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And but
I'd probably upset a city now.
It would, but I could see
Probably
something like
be
what
a
happened in
meme.
Anchorman happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Running Man. I would probably go with the Running Man actually.
I'm gonna go with The Ring because like the effects that TV show had on its audience was crazy, and that was a really great look into. I feel like that movie is really a metaphor for TV and the way it affects our lives.
I feel like most movies that are about TV are about journalism or reality shows.
Yeah, typically, I feel like people make more of those like production movies about films instead of TV. Yeah, but I mean,
go with Quiz Time.
Quiz show, yeah.
Quiz Time.
Yeah, just like I know that movie really well, and I do. Every time I watch it, I forget how good it is, and that's my non-cop out, like, because the TV set is always my go-to for that. Kyle, Club Adventure as the next question. What is your proudest accomplishment outside of YouTube? Proudest accomplishment.
My
Jay?
son.
My boy. I've abandoned my child.
I've abandoned my boy. What?
HW, man.
My proudest accomplishment outside of YouTube.
That elephant.
You really
drew
want to
in,
know?
Like, third grade.
This is Dude, you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. You told me the story.
It was my one good drawing, and honestly, I had one other good drawing. My dad was a hoarder, and so everything I ever drew or wrote was just piled up in his mess. And I had two good drawings. One was this elephant knocking down a tree, and it looked like an actual elephant. It was a fucking bomb. And the other one was I sat down and I had the cover of the DVD of The Patriot, pre Mel Gibson losing his shit. And I drew it, and I would show my family, like, who do you think this is? It's Mel Gibson. They knew it. They knew it was Mel Gibson. And lost that drawing. I never able to draw it again. Like, I was locked in, man. I was in the zone. I suck at drawing now. I can barely write handwriting. My proudest accomplishment, if you really must know, this is Patreon, so I'll give it here. It's who I've grown into as a human being. I feel like John's known me my whole life, and I feel like I feel like for a lot of my life, I remember being like 15, 16 years old and telling my tutor at the time, like, I'm a depressed kid and I find myself comfortable here. I've been depressed my whole life and I'm comfortable being depressed. I was very anxious for a lot of my life. I would get anxiety attacks. I used to take a lot of medication for several years for PTSD, ADHD, type 2 bipolar. And I had a dad who, I love my dad. He passed away, but he also wasn't a financial provider. He didn't have goals. He was rather cynical and negative a lot of the time. I won't go into all that. But what I think what I'm most proud of me is who I've grown into. I could have been like my dad, and I felt like there was a good portion of my life where I was headed in that direction. Just very rage-filled and negative and cynical, depressed, and didn't know how to treat people. But I learned to be very self-aware of who I am, my feelings. I learned to express what's underneath and not act on defense mechanisms or not act on anger. I got off all my meds, and I feel like this year especially, I've really learned a new healthy lifestyle, because when I was younger I was in shape, but I didn't really watch what I ate. This year I work out and I watch what I eat. I go to therapy, and I meditate a few times a week, and I journal a few times a week, and even when I was journaling today, I was thinking to myself, like, I've really changed from who I was. I feel like every 3 years, 2 to 3 years, I'm a completely different human being. and I think that I've really grown into a very, based off, if you guys know the details of my upbringing and experiences, usually a certain type of person would develop from that, and I was the kind to go, I see myself headed in this direction and I need to change this. And it's been several years of me actively personal developing, and I'm pretty proud of where I've become, which has led to something like a YouTube accomplishment, because YouTube accomplishment wouldn't have come if I didn't do all this stuff first. So yeah, boom, there's my answer.
Damn. That's a great
A
answer.
journal today, man. I'm in a more sincere mood.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to think a little harder. Yeah, I mean,
My guitar. That's actually no. Wait, that would be a great answer. Actually, otherwise that's so sarcastic.
Yeah,
That's a great answer.
those were the lines I was thinking along. But I don't know.
Can I edify you for a second?
Sure.
Term I learned in network marketing. John, I remember being in 3rd grade, and we had Mr. Mata as a teacher, and John wanted to learn guitar. And I remember we did, like, those video school projects, and then there was a video that John did where he's doing the news by himself. Remember that? Like, the weather's going,
We had
the
to
trash
do
can
a
hits
news,
you.
a news report, yeah.
And the
wanted to
video
make it
starts
funny.
off, and you're, like, playing guitar, and you only just started learning, so it was, like, the most basic guitar. Everyone was like, and we're just laughing, it's something John wants to learn. But then a few years later, John got, like, really sick of guitar. And it was cool because we would all kind of mocked him in the beginning of his journey, and then he just stuck with it, and eventually he got really good at guitar, and it's one of his secret skills that's not really promoted on YouTube. He can really play guitar. And so, yeah, that's John's answer.
Thanks.
No, what's your answer?
I mean, I was originally thinking along those lines, but then hearing you share about yourself made me start to think in a different light, you know. Because in accomplishments, they're not just like, oh, I did this one thing. Like, they can be sort of a more broad idea. And I don't know. Getting laid off lately has made me reflective about my work experience. And one of the things that I've been very grateful for, and that I notice not everybody gets to do, and I feel very... I don't know if it counts because sometimes I don't feel like I built this myself out of, like sheer force of will, but I've always managed to work in places that I cared about that made me feel fulfilled. Like every job I've ever held, except for like, that one seasonal gig we did at KB Toys, has been for something that I wanted to work for, that I wanted to help with, and so work wasn't, in some ways was work, but in a lot of other ways wasn't. And that includes YouTube, but like that also includes, my last job at Blumhouse, my job at the coffee shop, being a scare actor for 7 odd years, and climbing to the top of that. Like I've always managed to make, even if it's a haphazard living, I've always managed to make a living in a place that, is me.
Right.
I've always managed to be me throughout.
That's pretty big.
And I know a lot of people don't get to do that, and especially, getting laid off now, like, it makes me grateful for that, because you never know what you're going to have to do and what that means. So, I suppose I do feel very accomplished in having been able to create that, because I've always gotten to work among friends, and like a lot of my friendships have led to work and stuff like that.
That's true.
So
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got penis surgery.
Oh yeah.
I saved up for years.
You did. You told me back in third
They
grade.
increased it 1 inch.
You're like, I'm gonna put an inch on this thing if it kills me.
I'm now at an average size of 5.5, people.
Oh boy! Welcome to the club.
I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want to stand out, people.
Yeah, don't get greedy, man. Because, like, also, you know, like, an inch, you can just say, like, oh, you know, if they don't get a perfect match, you can just be like, oh, it's a little discolored there, but it's nothing. But, you know, like, 4 inches of extra is just not gonna fly. People will be able to tell, you know. Definitely.
That's why women like us, John. Oh, we're so sincere and heartfelt. But they can just crack a joke. Oh,
Dick
look at them being
joke.
self-aware.
Dick joke!
Aaron.
Oropeza.
Jason Dolan and Aaron Oropeza, they're new. Thanks for being here.
Welcome,
I
chaps.
think it's the first time I'm seeing your guys' names here on Patreon. Thanks for being here, gents.
Yeah.
What gave you guys the idea to start the channel in the first place? I don't know if this question was answered already. In my mind, I actually read it like, what gave you guys the idea to start the channel in the first place? Why are you here? Why do you exist?
Well, if you must know.
Really want to know? Want to fight about it?
Well, see, Greg and I have been friends most of our lives now. The grand majority. And,
So we're going to figure out the math on that?
we've been friends
We've been friends for at least 20 years.
Yeah, at least
a
20
minimum
years.
of 20 years.
Yeah, because 6
We're
or 7 would have been
27
first grade, yeah.
now. Well, I'm 27 in a few weeks. We're
Yeah.
27 now. So what's the percentage of that? 90% of our lives or something?
27, yeah, if you... it's probably a little...
We met
a
like,
little-
what, we were 6?
Yeah, 6 or 7, so yeah.
And when we were 6,
Five
we
times
had an
five is
idea
25.
to put videos on the internet. The internet didn't even exist yet.
We were like, well, someday when somebody else creates a network that allows us to kind of just do movie making from home in a much smaller, shorter capacity.
It's what we want to do our whole lives.
Yeah, this is how we spoke. But, you know...
Yeah, we were like kids written by adults in movies.
Very precocious, big vocabulary,
Yeah.
and a lot of world experience. But yeah, you know, I don't know, coming up, we have always had schemes in mind. Like, we've always been writing little scripts together or making short films together, or there was a period where we were trying to start a t-shirt company together. You know, we were in network marketing together for a while. Like, we've always had something going on. And a lot of that has always been filmmaking oriented. And then finally, one day, Greg Alba came to me and had this idea. He came on me and he had this idea.
Oh my god, I need to do that so I can clear my mind.
about being the Ebert and Roper of YouTube.
Yeah, when we started the channel, we shot a few videos that we never posted. Because as we were like, we should be like the... I never watched YouTube. I think the most I saw from YouTube was like a couple of college humor videos from John and a few Bo Burnham videos before he was Bo fucking Burnham.
Yeah. My old YouTube, like, I only watched, like, Bo Burnham, like, sketches here and there, like Derek Comedy.
Derek Comedy, that's who it was, yeah.
And for a minute there, I was pretty big on Philip DeFranco.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, like, my earliest YouTuber I knew about was, like, I would watch SXE Phil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and I wasn't that familiar with YouTube or, like, what the big deal was. I was kind of a cynical guy about YouTube. Like, people just get addicted to that. And then, and I was like, now we can hone in on the addiction, kind of like Walter White or Breaking Bad. So,
Or Jason Bateman in Ozark.
what I decided to do was I was obsessed with Ebert and Roper. It wouldn't be a video if this wasn't going on, am I right?
This is by far the noisiest neighborhood that you've lived in.
Oh,
Except
come
for the
on.
fireworks.
The one Van Nuys was way worse. Yeah.
True.
Van Nuys was a constant wreck. If
Fine.
it wasn't cars, it was kids right outside my door.
Not noisiest, but this one always has, like, conveniently timed prolonged
Yeah,
noises.
it's true, because there's not a lot of noise going on when we're not filming, but when we are filming, there's a lot of noise going on.
Yeah.
So, okay, to answer your question, Aaron, our answer might not even reflect what the channel is now. That's the interesting part to us. I always wanted to do movie reviews. John and I, like, one of the most ongoing conversations that we would have are just movies. We would just we'd walk out of a movie, we'd talk about an hour and a half movie for 4.5 hours, you know, like we just talk about movies. And then sometimes people would be with us, usually it was like a girl we're dating or other movie friends, and they would hear us and they'd be like, you should start up movie reviews, you should do movie reviews. But at the time, I wasn't really paying attention to YouTube, and all I ever saw people talking about movies was people on TV, and I'm like, I don't know how to get there. And then I would hear about people doing film reviews on like newspaper sites. People wouldn't make shit. So I was like, what can we do? And then I stumbled upon Jeremy Johns, who was the first critic I saw.
Yeah.
And I liked Jeremy Johns. And then I had an idea, like, what if we could bring like our Ebert and Roper wannabe style to YouTube? So when we started off, it was like 3 cameras, master shot, shot here, shot there.
Yeah, and then a close-up on each of them.
And I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to do jack. I didn't know how to film. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to light. I didn't know how any of it worked.
Yeah, we started this. We had like a vague rift for a minute where we weren't really.
Yeah.
It was the first time that we had ever sort of like exited each other's lives for a while and like did some growing on our own, and then we came back and this was sort of like the first idea, and it started out as what was it, like Stoner Reviews or something? Was
Stoner Reviews.
Your original idea.
But because I was smoking weed all the time, you didn't want to be associated with that.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
And then we also thought it would pigeonhole us into the stoner image, and then we decided to then we had the Reasons to See, which was our original movie review show.
Yeah, that was the old school.
Where we would break down our reviews by going reasons to see, reasons not to see the movie, and then we come up with a consensus. But I think if you go to our channel, we start uploading regularly. January 2013 is when we started regular uploads. We really started beginning of January 2012, and it took us a year to figure out how to put together videos.
Yeah, our first few reviews were like tons of footage from 3 different cameras, different formats.
And we needed an editor because we didn't know how to work with multiple cameras. And through the process, though, we started simplifying the format. We switched to one shot, and I would just do cropping in because I eventually learned how to edit. I would sit with John for like hours and watch how he edits.
Yeah, I was in film school at the time, so like so I started basically just taking, in fact, I would go into cinematography classes and ask, like, if I wanted to light like a small green screen, like what would I do? You know, and then just taking that home and then, you know, doing it and showing it to you and stuff like that, you know?
It's pretty crazy how we're here now, huh?
Yeah, and you know, like there's some knowledge I should definitely brush up on, you know, that shows more in the sketches.
Yeah, so I didn't know how to do anything. Now I know how to shoot for the most part. I understand basics of lighting. I know how to edit now. And there was a time where I didn't know any of that, and I learned all that from John. And through the process of learning from John for many months on end, of learning how to do any of these things, I eventually that's when John was in school and he was working. And so I started doing a lot more on the channel on my own for a while. Probably like the first year I was doing a lot on my own.
Yeah, it was hard coordinating.
Yeah, it was very hard because I had a job. I had a full-time job. I was working 40 hours a week, and so it was hard.
And I was going to school and doing stuff, and you know, we were different people too. We had different temperaments at the time.
Yeah, and then we started simplifying it. We cut out the 3 cameras. We cut all the cropping. We realized, on YouTube you can get away with just a single shot and jump cuts.
What matters more is what you can make a lot of quickly. You know?
And we realized it was more about us, and if people liked us, not more. It was less about the. And now we want to increase video production. We do.
Yeah, we've been around long enough.
We've been around long enough that we should.
Yeah, because at least at the beginning, it's like all that matters is we get it. This is YouTube. Like everyone's uploading from their house. You know, cool. But after a while, you do want to jump up.
Yeah, so much longer answers for everything to me.
Yeah.